Good morning, everyone. Today we will continue talking about quadratic equations. I'll give you some rules how we can factorize quadratic equations. The quadratic, it means it's an equation has x squared. Now, the first rule. طبعا these rules, I'll give you these rules to help you to predict the solution. The first rule is if the product is positive, then the two numbers have same sign. Either two numbers must be positive and or these two numbers must be negative. It's logic. يعني if you multiply two numbers and the sign of the result is positive. There are two cases. The first case, these two numbers must be positive because positive times positive is positive. Negative times negative is negative. We know that. Positive times positive is positive. Negative times negative is positive. Two numbers with the same sign, the result must be positive. So again, if the product is positive, then the two numbers that we are looking for must be have the same sign. Both of them must be positive or both of them must be negative. I'll explain this by using this example. In the previous lesson, we took this equation, x squared plus 5x plus 16 plus 6 plus 6. If you factorize this one, will be x plus 3 times x plus 2, two brackets and two brackets, x plus 3 and x plus 2. We did this example in the previous lesson. Now, look, now this is, we are looking about two numbers. If you multiply them, you will get 6. Now, the product is positive, اللي هي 6, يعني the sign of 6 is positive. So then the two numbers that we are looking for must be the same sign. هلا هاي positive صح؟ Positive. Here we got 3 and 2. 3 and 2. 3 is positive and 2 is positive. إنه 3 times 2 6. 3 plus 2 هاي 5. Now let's take this example. Now here the product here is positive. The product here is positive. Now to factorize this one, this is x, this is x. We are looking about two numbers. If you multiply them, will be positive 12. And if you add them, you will get negative 7. What are these two numbers? 12 if you multiply them, 12. And if you add them, negative 7. Now if you take negative 3 and negative 4, these two numbers are working. Why? Because negative 3 times negative 4, 12. Negative 3 times negative 4 is 12. Now, negative 3 plus negative 4 is negative 7. So here we got two numbers with the same sign is negative. So this is negative 4, negative 3. So here, this is positive. I got positive. Because the addition is positive. Here I got, this is the product is positive. I got two numbers with the same sign, negative. But here I got negative and negative because here the addition is negative. So here, if the product is positive and the addition is positive, these two numbers must be positive. Okay? Now, note that if the product is positive and the addition is negative, these two numbers must be negative numbers. Now, another rule. If the product is negative. Now, in the previous rule, we are talking about if the product is positive. Now, what about if it's negative? then the two numbers have different signs. يعني it's obvious. If you multiply two numbers with different signs, the product must be negative. Negative times positive هاي negative, و positive times negative it's also negative. So it's obvious that if the product is negative, then the two numbers have different signs. Different signs يعني one of them is positive, the other is negative. We discussed these two examples in the previous lesson. X squared minus 2x minus 8 equals x plus 2 and x minus 4. This is negative. Look, this is negative. We got two different signs, positive 2 and negative 4. Also, we discussed this example in the previous lesson. X squared plus x minus 12 equals x minus 3, x plus 4. High negative, negative, this is positive, negative 3 and 4. So negative, the product is negative. The two numbers must be, one of them is positive and the other is negative. Now, the last one, the sign of the addition. هاي الاديشن، هاي البرودكت وهاي الاديشن. The sign of the addition is the sign of the larger number. I mean by that, also we discussed this example in the previous lesson. This is x squared minus 2x minus 8. Done. Now, if you factorize this, x plus 2 and x minus 4. In the second rule, if the product is negative, these two numbers must be, one of them is positive and the other is negative. Yes, high 2, negative 4. Look, here the sign of the addition is negative, right? Here, focus on the sign of the addition. The sign of the addition is negative. Is the sign of the larger number. هلا هون 4 is larger than 2 and 4 has a negative sign. Again, the sign of the addition is negative. And the sign of the addition is the sign of the larger number. 4 is larger than 2 and 4 has a negative sign. So 4 is a negative, so the addition is negative. I'll do this example. X squared minus 8x plus 12. We are looking about two numbers. If you multiply these two numbers, you will get 12. 12, the product. If you add these two numbers, you will get negative 8. What are these two numbers if you multiply them? 12 and if you add them negative 8. This is positive, right? Positive. And this is negative. So you need to get two numbers. If you add them, 12 is positive, and if you add them is negative. So these two numbers depends on the first rule, must be two negative numbers. What are these two numbers? 12. If you multiply them is 12, and if you add them is negative 8. Let's take negative 2 and negative 6. Negative 2 and negative 6. Let's see. Negative 2 times negative 6 is 12. Yes. If I added them, negative 2 plus negative 6 is negative 8. Note that this is positive. These two numbers, both of them must be negative. Since here the addition is negative. So how can I factorize? اللي هي عندك هنا x minus 2 or x minus 6. If you can check, you can expand, you will get the same equation. Now, we are looking about two numbers. If you multiply them, you will get negative 10. If you add them, you will get 3. What are these two numbers? Look, Here, this is negative, right? The product is negative. So we are looking about two numbers. One of them is positive, the other is negative. And if you add them, you will get 3. What are these two numbers? Let's try 5 and negative 2. Yes, 5 and negative 2. It's working, yes. Now 5 times negative 2 negative 10. طيب هون 5 plus negative 2 is 3. Yes, it's working. So this is negative, the product is negative, depends on the second rule. These two numbers must be, one of them is positive, the other is negative. Here the addition is positive. Here 5 is larger and 5 is positive. See? Now x minus 2 وهاي x plus 5. طبعا it is the same thing if you write مثلا x plus 5 the first and x minus 2 the same thing. This is a homework, 3 questions. Factorize. The question is factorize the following quadratic equations. Thank you for listening and have a good day.